Today we're checking out Off the Grid. Drifter did a video about how it's potentially a scam with the crypto side of it.
Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I'm going to be giving you my review of the brand new Battle Royale game Off the Grid, which we have gameplay.
Extraction Battle Royale. What's funny though too about this game is I never ended up posting the video, but I had a review video they wanted me to make back in like February for multiple $1,000s to kind of talk about how the game was. I was supposed to react to dock, clicks, whatever. There was a lot of gameplay. That version of the game looks really different than this current version that they have, because the current version is more like a resurgence mode and the original was more like a DMZ style mode with a lot of players on the map. So we'll kind of see how this
all
goes.
Around us today. In case you're unfamiliar, Off the Grid is a new extraction shooter and battle royale hybrid game that's currently in early access.
Yep.
It's set in the near future where you can voluntarily allow your arms and legs to be chopped off only to have them replaced with cyber limbs and then deploy into this.
And let me know, is that particular mechanic with the legs and arms, is that new to this game? I couldn't think of a game that had that mechanic, but almost every other mechanic in the game is kind of like reused from another game and kind of repurposed to fit their particular playstyle. Obviously, Resurgence is in the game. They have the extraction part, which is kind of like the DMZ part of it. And there's a bunch of other elements that are essentially copied from other ones and repurposed, as a lot of good games do. You take from your competitors, just like Fortnite took the Resurgence mode. Respawn's Apex Legends brought in the mix and other people took that. Eventually probably people will take gulags. I don't know, but that's kind of how it goes.
This big battle royale style arena for everybody's entertainment. It's kind of a grim, dark future. They have live action segments, CG segments. It's all about human body modification, post-humanism. It's kind of
supposedly the gameplay is supposed to be like 60 hours.
Like its main gimmick,
once it comes out, the campaign.
Swap cybernetic arms and legs with other ones that
which you have to do in the real world,
further, run
or
faster,
the matches,
shoot stuff out
rather.
of your arms like Spider-Man. Or you can get them blown off in the middle of combat and have to crawl to safety because you have
funny if
no
you break your legs.
Or fight with only your pistol because you got your arm blown off in a gunfight and you can't handle a two-handed weapon. The developers did a really good job at making this game look good and fun. They even partnered with a
new
bunch
Unreal
of popular
Engine
streamers to help promote it, so it's getting a lot of immediate attention.
They're spending
when
millions.
This game first showed up on my radar, it looked incredibly fun to watch Shroud and Ninja and TP play the game. But then when I got on myself, I was shocked at how bad it actually was. Off the Grid has truly abysmal optimization, which I will talk a lot about later in the video. Do keep an eye on the FPS.
Yeah, he's not getting very much.
But I was profoundly depressed to discover that it appears to be just another crypto cash grab blockchain game, which is truly a shame because, again, I was very interested in playing Off the Grid. So
also, referencing that part where I had the video that they wanted me to react to back in February, they didn't mention that part, or at least I don't recall the crypto part being any part of it. And that's also one reason I believe that it's not on Steam. I don't know if you'll get into that, but on Steam, they don't allow any games that are integrated with any kind of crypto. So even Doc's game that has or former Doc's game or whatever you want to call that, that game will not end up on Steam. It'll have to be on some other launcher.
This is going to be a rough review. Buckle up. I'm going to have some bad things to say, maybe even some curse words, which is a little uncommon on this channel. And there are some good things about the game, so I'm briefly going to talk about the things I like before I move into the absolute plethora of negatives. So in the good section, I think the base idea for the game is really good in that it is an extraction battle royale. You're extracting loot, you're exporting these hexes, you're taking stuff with you.
Yep.
If you win, you get rewards. That whole element works really well. You can win the battle royale to unlock loot. If you get a high rarity hex like I did on one game, it will actually ping you on the map so everybody knows where the valuable goods are. That's really fun.
You got the
game
purple
is very
one.
aesthetically pleasing in that it looks like Advanced Warfare or maybe like a Neil Blomkamp movie like District 9 or Chappie. It's kind of got this
100% does look like that
future vibe going on. And the core concept, which is a little bit of a gimmick, but the cyber limb thing works really well. I do love upgrading my cyber arms, trying out different combinations. I like scavenging more powerful legs that give me more advanced movement. And it's very fun to blow people's legs off or maybe shoot somebody's jetpack midair.
It's crazy to chain the movement too, because you can do a melee weapon with the sprinting legs or whatever. So you just come up, slice the person. But one thing that is interesting, it feels like the version that they put out I'm promising you, it looks way different from the original. The HUD play, like everything is so significantly different. And it felt like the other one was kind of like a teaser. And obviously this is kind of like a sample because it's only a small portion of the map. And when I reacted to the footage back in February, the map was probably like 4 times bigger. And it's supposed to accommodate, well, maybe 5 times, 6 times bigger. It's supposed to accommodate up to 150 players versus this one is 60 players. There's no AI currently on the map. But just like DMZ, the bigger map was supposed to have that stuff. So I think they're giving people a sample since it's early access.
I had a really fun combat.
So imagine the performance on that build
because I lost the two-handed
with the big map.
It's pretty fun whether I'm doing it to people or happening to me. I did have a pretty funny moment one time where I did not stick my landing and broke both legs and had to crawl to the other side of the map to find like a spare pair of legs to put on. So all of that was very fun. The game's advanced movement system is very generous and it works really well with the combat loop. The jetpack's really easy to activate. There's plenty of climbing.
Huge skill gap with that element.
Plenty of advanced movement and speed. And I believe it gave the game a very high skill gap of navigating all of the advanced movement, which gives Off the Grid a kind of fun hunter-prey vibe where you're either being chased down by a team or you're chasing the survivor.
I didn't pre-watch this, by the way.
There's a good chase or be chased mechanic going on in the game. The actual gunfights themselves are on the better end of mediocre, but not really worth talking about a whole lot.
The TTKs are really long.
The developer team that built the actual gameplay here, like the core concepts of this gameplay, did a pretty good job and had some creative ideas, which I'm all here for. And as a small side note, I love the found footage style intros when you're loading into the map. It plays like fake news reports from a not.
And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of these varied ones
filmed on video, like it's leaked cell phone footage. It kind of reminds me of a found footage film, like the VHS series in terms of production value, and that was really fun. But that's where the good stuff ends. That's every aspect of the game I enjoyed. Now I got to move into some very negative parts of it. And we're going to start off, we're going to talk about the horrible optimization, but we're going to start off talking about the fact that it's a crypto game. It is a cryptocurrency based game. It runs on blockchain. I'm sure it's going to get, and this comment section is going to get overloaded with tech bros and crypto cucks telling me why this is going to save the world or decentralize something and democratize money or something. But I really hate it. I'm not playing a blockchain game. So when I first started playing this game, I realized immediately I had to grind to unlock stuff, and there were a lot of microtransactions. And I could tell just by looking at the marketing material that it would be powered by microtransactions. Even the early access build that I'm playing allows you to go pro for a $12 per month subscription.
Get the ninja skin.
It gives you the ninja skin, the battle pass, and some other benefits. Neat thing with the battle pass, you can choose which ones to work for, so that's a little bit nicer. But in getting ready for the review, I wasn't really planning to spend money, but I went to the store to see how much the microtransactions would cost, what kind of loot system we're going with here, only to be absolutely gobsmacked by the fact that most of these microtransactions are actually player marketplace microtransactions, kind of like how CSGO used to allow weapon trading and gambling, except this isn't even the Steam store.
Well, you can still do that through the Steam store, through websites. There are ways to do it because obviously people can open up the crates on CS, and then if they get a specific item, they can sell those. Obviously, Trainwrecks is one of those people that do that full stream. There's plenty of other people, but that was part of his, like one part of his content that he would do. He would open those up, you'd see the values, there's a lot of excitement around it. I've seen all kinds of content creators do that live and post videos of that type of stuff. I don't really get into that. Never really been played at CS.
This isn't even a fixed value thing. The prices are listed in cryptocurrency that you earn through playing the game and or through extracting with hexes at a very, very, very slow rate. And everybody's allowed to take their weapons, NFT them, and put them up on the marketplace for trade. So like 80% of people think they're going to make money on this somehow. So the price of almost all of the guns are hyperinflated. It's hard to find one at a reasonable, sane price. And
those are normalized though, generally, right? I would think.
Horrible. This is so frustrating. I got online and I started reading about it. I discovered that Off the Grid utilizes the Guns blockchain, perfect name. It's validated by the Avalanche subnet, and that all of the weapons that you acquire and unlock from the Battle Pass or elsewhere are technically some form of NFT. So when you're trading and buying and upgrading your guns in this game, you're actually just trading NFTs. And this was an immediate turnoff for me. This was a hard nope. Because
for me, that's not a hard nope, but It's one of those things where it's kind of like, well, why? Like, what's the point? Especially if he gave the example CS did this thing. Well, why not just do what CS did and offer the marketplace? Diablo did this with the marketplace. WoW has this with the marketplace. Inevitably, people will still use real money to go ahead and trade things off of the game. And this obviously incorporates it into the game when it's not necessarily there. I think there is some things where if it does show the rarity of items, like how many are on the market, maybe there's some value in that. You can see how many is on the list. There are other things that could be available. And maybe the advantage is that they could add in WoW, for example, or CS, if they just flooded the market with something, a specific weapon, obviously the value would nosedive. So they could manipulate the values as well. And each transaction, they could be making money from that because there's going to be hundreds and millions, hundreds, thousands, and probably even millions of transactions that the company will be able to make money off of you just operating in the marketplace. So it's kind of benefits the company more than maybe the player base. I don't know. No, like unless there's a way for you to get your money out, which we'll see.
Because blockchain games are notoriously scammy. They're expensive to play and frequently short-lived. A lot of them get flooded with people that try to flip assets quickly, make money, and get out before the whole thing implodes. To the best of my knowledge, NFTs are basically dead right now. Just a few years after they were introduced, they were used to steal millions from people or launder millions of dollars, depending on your perspective on that. And I think that NFTs are a fundamentally stupid concept to begin with because you don't own anything besides an overinflated digital asset. I'm also not the biggest fan of cryptocurrency. Now, don't get me wrong. I've talked about it here on the channel. Some of the things you can do. There's potential here for sure.
Ethereum.
I've dabbled in it. I've traded in it a little bit, but I was never one of those true believers. Never one of those guys that I'll say, if I had a nickel for every time I had a tech bro or crypto cuck come and tell me that cryptocurrency is going to decentralize currency exchange and democratize capitalism and replace the government or some other stupid nonsense, I'd actually probably have a couple $100. People talk about that all the time. But from a moral standpoint, I feel that I have to be opposed to cryptocurrency because it requires an outrageous amount of energy to sustain. During a time where our planet is becoming increasingly inhospitable due to climate change, and my personal electricity prices are going up in Texas because everybody's building crypto mining centers and AI data centers and stuff like that here. Over half of the electricity in the state is going to be going.
I don't know if people agree because maybe they don't care.
Before the end of the decade, so that's going to be very, very frustrating in the future. So I don't want to support crypto stuff. I think it's just
wait. What was that?
Planet. And I don't think I'm.
He highlighted that, but he didn't talk about it.
I don't want to support effectively double.
So it says selling on marketplace is available to the pro subscribers only. So you can't even interact with the marketplace unless you're spending the $12 a month or whatever that is. That's crazy. Like, all right, so you'd have to make $12 in return to make it worth it. I don't know if that's practical. They're making some money though on their end.
My price before the end of the decade, so that's going to be very, very frustrating in the future. So I don't want to support crypto stuff. I think it's just bad for the planet, and I don't think I'm alone in this viewpoint. I think there are many other anti-crypto Luddites like me out there that just don't want to engage with this, and I'm certainly not going to play a blockchain game that's been disguised as a real game. Beyond that, I simply, even if I didn't have these sort of moral qualms, I don't have the money to play blockchain.
I will kind of disagree on that element. I would say that like 99.999999, however the number, percent of crypto games that I've actually seen, they look like they could essentially be like thrown together, low budget, not really quality or polish, and they have this promise that they're going to eventually be a good game. This game looks good. The fundamental core looks fun. If you're not even focused on the marketplace, a lot of the elements are there for it to be a fun extraction battle royale. And it has relatively good graphics because it's using the new Unreal Engine 5, I believe. But then it's like crypto's added in there when it didn't necessarily need to be, versus how it works the other way is it feels like the other ones they start with the crypto part. And then they're like, well, how can we make a game out of this? We'll just throw some stuff at it and make it work, do it, make it work, So it's kind of one of those. So I disagree a little bit on that because this game does actually look like a real game, not like it's a crypto game. And I think that's what throws too many people off.
Thousands or tens of thousands of dollars from whales. They're designed to be addictive. The developers for
like mobile games
haven't yet clarified how the blockchain is going to be used. If you can spend real money to get in-game currency, they're kind of leaving that deliberately vague and being quiet about it. But my expectation is that Off the Grid is going to be very expensive, and it's going to try to prop up some sort of crypto coin or network or add some sort of real value to it. And I'll tell you guys, I'm just straight up too poor for that. I don't have thousands of dollars to pour into a blockchain game. And the game is probably just going to be filled with crypto bros anyway, trying to get in early and make a buck by flipping these assets somehow. And all of this would be bad enough.
And when he's talking about the flipping part, I was thinking that when I heard about that part, not because I'm into the crypto part of it, but every game that has a marketplace, there's like a sniping element to it. I was even watching a streamer. What they had done was there was an item on the marketplace that they wanted to sell. Well, somebody was selling it for 5, and the average on the market was like 20. So they just bought the 5 and then put it back on the market for like 19. So they're still undercutting the higher price, and they're going to make a net positive of 14. So there's a lot of that. People do that in 2K with the marketplace. And Madden, you're sniping cards that are on the low end, and you're selling much higher so that you eventually increase your income without actually having to spend real life money. There's a lot of work and time too.
This would be a big enough turnoff if it weren't that the optimization was bad too. I would say the optimization is pure hot dog water. The lowest rating that I can possibly give something on this channel. I complained about Black Ops 6 not being optimized, but that game was a masterpiece compared to Off the Grid. Off the Grid is so inefficient, it makes me wonder if the actual in-game graphical assets are also being wildly inefficiently generated by crypto or AI somehow. The FPS on this game is abysmal on any rig. For those of you that have been paying attention to my FPS
it's low.
It has not been very friendly to me.
20s.
I'm currently recording and playing on my bed PC, which is a 3070 Ti, an i7 processor. I lowered the resolution to 1080p. I put every single graphical setting on minimum. Still can't even consistently crack 60 FPS. I think that I get above it, but it just goes up and down a lot too. Some of the other people in our party actually had to modify their game's install files to artificially lower the quality below the minimum the game allows you to.
That sounds
just
crazy.
So that they can play it at a decent frame rate, which is outrageous. And Off the Grid certainly isn't pretty when in minimal settings. It has issues with draw distance, texture loading.
Oh yeah, it looks terrible.
Effects seem to stress it out. It also has issues with input
but he got 70 frames.
Freezes or stutters or lags. Your inputs will just kind of all go in at once because they stack up on each other. It basically has every type of graphical problem that a game can have. It actually made Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on PC look well optimized. And I think that this is fundamentally unacceptable for a modern game.
Still early access, though.
Want to counter me by saying, but Drifter, it's an early access
exactly
game. It's not finished.
Exactly.
It's not done yet. Yeah, but this is an early.
But obviously that is the point, and he gets it. But the part that I was making earlier is this isn't even the full map. The full map is much, much larger, and as we get probably through his video, I'll show you guys that what it originally looked like in terms of scale. It is way, way larger than what we're seeing here.
Early access game that's already selling things and being promoted with some of the most popular streamers in the world to the tune of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of marketing.
Yeah, they got big pockets
on these streamers. And they're clearly trying to make money from it right now and support a crypto thing right now. This would be different. This particular criticism wouldn't hold up if they were doing a technical test or an alpha or a pre-alpha or even a beta. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if this were a Kickstarter game that's desperately trying to get funding. This is a fairly big budget game with a real team, and it's supposed to be in real early access. And this is essentially a piece of marketing that's supposed to make me really want to buy Off the Grid. And it just doesn't work on most PCs. It has no business being this wildly unoptimized. And I've decided that, I don't know, maybe I'm old and crotchety enough or whatever. As a gamer, I've decided I'm no longer going to waste my time with poorly optimized games. If games are so buggy, so messy that they stress my PC out, they take forever for me to
play on console.
No. I can't even record the gameplay because I don't have the extra bandwidth on the GPU because the stupid game is sucking it all up to render crypto assets. I'm not going to play a game like that. It's not worth the stress to me or the stress to my computer. So I'm trying to only play games that are reasonably well optimized. Beyond this optimization, I have a couple of gameplay gripes, and then we'll move to the conclusion. The cyber abilities are most fun when they aren't
Some
lethal.
of them are
a lot
super
of the tactical
broken.
ones that scan or slow down or give you advanced movement, those are really fun. There's a couple of lethal abilities that just blow you up instantly, like rocket legs, rocket arms, poison. There's a couple of other things. You can get like EMP'd to where you can't move or stuck in goop. There are a couple of things that just hit way too hard.
So broken. Like, look at that one.
Because there's no way to counterplay them. You just get hit by that in the middle of the gunfight, and you're just completely toast. They're way more fun for mobility and
it's like a 9-bang in Blackout.
And can't escape this one. Advanced movement means that there's going to be people dropping down on you at all time. There's a big part of the game is verticality, and you have a lot of tools to navigate and go vertical and do stuff like that. But that means that if you're trying to hide, if you're trying to avoid the fight or survive, it's a lot like playing Rebirth on Call of Duty or Apex. You have to be prepared for people coming down on you from height all the time, which I know can get annoying. And now my final opinion on this game. It's not a good game. It's certainly not in its current state and not in the direction it appears to be heading. I would give it a rating of hot dog water, which is a shame because I'm telling you, the core idea for the gameplay, most of the gameplay loop, the movement, the aesthetic, the jokes they've got going on, all works pretty well. The gameplay team that was there to make a game did a pretty good job.
That's what I was talking about
knock
earlier.
them on that. But the game is so poorly optimized that even a lot of the ultra rich streamers that I watch on Twitch can barely play it. When Shroud is fighting tooth and nail to crack 90 FPS, that is a problem.
You got $8,000 PC.
Just completely loaded with crypto and microtransactions. That is a fundamental aspect of the game, completely inextricable and unchangeable, that it's going to run on crypto. And if you're playing this game, you're basically playing a very big budget NFT blockchain game, which I have no intentions to do for the variety of reasons that I listed before. And my final review is that I'm just not playing this one. This is one of the most negative reviews I've given in a long time. It's one of the worst experiences I've had in a long time. And that's kind of sad because I really wanted to like this. I really wish there was a version of this game that was optimized and didn't have crypto, because it might actually be quite fun based on the gameplay alone, but I can't set my computer on fire playing this, and I'm not going to support crypto bros trying to decentralize whatever it is they're trying to decentralize these days. I pretty much tune those people out. So a lot of people are saying a lot of good things about Off the Grid, not me.
So I wanted to show you this from September. You can see the HUD is completely different. I don't really like that, but this is AI. Like, and the mini map and a lot of that gets changed, right? A lot of those things and elements get changed, but the scale of the map is just so much larger because you're doing these big navigation things. They don't have the FPS anywhere on the screen. A lot of that, like I said, the HUD elements were changed, but there's these huge areas that I see them go into that don't look anything like what we've already seen in this early access version. And this is the DMZ version that I was talking about, like these trees and wood. Like, this isn't, like, imagine how the performance is going to be when they actually allow all of this. And this is with the people on the map as well as all the different elements with AI, and it's going to perform worse than it is currently. So I thought I'd throw that out there because this video is over a year old. So let me know what your thoughts are. If you're liking these videos, go ahead and check out another one on screen now. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching as always. Have a great day.